we are hoping that the Houston Texans will make one splashy acquisition in free agency. It's only natural. Not necessarily the smartest way to go about things. I would tell everybody that some of the teams that win free agency are regretting the contracts that they put on the books less than a year later. Two teams that I feel like always went big in free agency and it never did anything for them when they were the Redskins, the Commanders back in the day, and on top of that, the Miami Dolphins. Teams that splurge in free agency don't typically end up winning as a result of it. But that said, there are a couple of marquee names that I think we're hoping the Houston Texans at least make a phone call about. And it does feel like there's a chance that they at least hit the open market based off of a couple of tidbits from Adam Schefter. So let's continue another episode of Texans Free Agency Watch. So per Adam Schefter, Buccaneers wide receiver Mike Evans and Chiefs defensive tackle Chris Jones are not expected to get the franchise tag because their cap number would be astronomical in the case of each. For Chris Jones, we're looking at a franchise tag of $32 million. And with Mike Evans, we're looking at a franchise tag of $28.4 million. Holy crap. Wide receiver, defensive tackle, two positions, high demand. So, yes, Chris Jones said he's not leaving the Chiefs. But the Chiefs do have to give him a contract extension, and they don't have the bulletproof option to give him the franchise tag so that nobody else can potentially lure him away. And it's the same thing for Mike Evans. I think with Evans will be elsewhere next season. Where? Who knows? I know a lot of people would like to see him aboard the Houston Texans. I wouldn't mind that being the splurge, but as we laid out on Friday, Chris Jones or Ravens defensive tackle Justin Madubuike, those are the top two guys. I would like to see them maybe look at a center or a safety, a linebacker with coverage ability, maybe a Willie Gay Jr. At wide receiver, it would be cool to see him get a name like that or T. Higgins or something like that. As far as running back goes, right now, the two teams that have the best odds to sign Derrick Henry are the Ravens and the Steelers, which is interesting to hear. The Ravens, the number one favorite to land Derrick Henry. Just like with Saquon Barkley, just like with Josh Jacobs, as much as I like Derrick Henry and as much as he was a Texans terrorist, I mean, his numbers against the Texans, only T.Y. Hilton, I think, of late, has done better than him. So with all that in mind, it would be cool to have someone like Henry on the Texans, but I think it's going to cost too much money. You do have the draw of C.J. Stroud as your quarterback. You do have the draw of DeMeco Ryans as your head coach, but still, running back contracts, they're short-term in nature. You can't space the money out so that it helps fit your salary cap. I think when it comes to Derrick Henry, I am out. Sean Mapes, in or out on Derrick Henry for a Houston Texan free agent?
Out.
Out?
Yes. Goes against two rules I live my life by.
Ooh.
Paying running backs and paying old running backs. Investing heavily in 30-year-old Derrick Henry just because he ran for 250 yards against you like 5 straight times.
The good news about Bill O'Brien no longer being the general manager is that
you don't have to worry about
don't have to worry about that.
Or at least we don't think we have to worry about that.
We don't think, you know what, good point. We don't think we have to worry about that.
If they give Gus Edwards $25 million, then we'll know. Or Desmond Ridder.
God.
But I just don't. I'm just not as fascinated by Derrick Henry as everyone else seems to be, and I get it. Derrick Henry's a super cool player, but it's just the problem with the Texans' running game wasn't the running back.
No, I think it's the interior offensive line.
Right. So Derrick Henry doesn't fix the offensive line. I know he's big, but he doesn't fix the offensive line.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I would rather, again, sign a guard, trade for a guard who's going to make probably just as much. If you're trading for a good guard, he's going to make around as much as Derrick Henry does. And then you can go cheap on running back.
I think one of the things you'll notice when you see a post online, specifically on YouTube or something like that, about Texans free agency, the ones that get the most numbers are the ones that involve a big name. Everyone wants a big name this time of
Mike
year.
Evans, Derrick Henry, Chris Jones.
Exactly. But ultimately, what we should be talking about is some obscure interior offensive lineman that no one's heard about. That is a boring conversation. Yeah. Boring in free agency is actually good, generally.
Yeah. You can go with a wide receiver. Just know that there's just as good a chance that you're going to hit paying like Kendrick Bourne $7.5 million than you are with paying Mike Evans $27.5 million.
Yeah.
Like that, it's just, it's not as fun. Doesn't grab the clicks. But with some of these guys, I just don't see them as that great of a fit because of age and because of the position that they play and the age at that position.
One last possibility for the Houston Texans. Pro Football Focus drew up a random trade idea that would send Eagles linebacker Hassan Reddick to the Texans for a 2024 second-round pick. He is turning 30. I'm of the belief that we overrate draft picks and a late second round pick. You are more likely to get success with Hassan Reddick than you are with that late second round pick. At the same time, the problem is you'd also have to pay Hassan Reddick.
Yeah.
And you don't have Jonathan Grenard on the books right now. So this is not even a starter for me. Hassan Reddick, making a trade for him. I don't think that trading is something the Texans should be doing over the next couple of weeks for a player that's an established player, unless that person is already on the books for a couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, if you like if the Texans like Hassan Reddick better than they like Jonathan Grenard, then that could be the move. But you're paying a second round pick to upgrade there and not save any money.
Correct.
So that's what makes it hard. I'm not a big Hassan Reddick, guy.
He's put up numbers, but I don't think of him as one of the best defensive players in the league.
I think it's a little bit of he benefits from how good that entire Eagles front
right.
is.
There's so many good players on it.
So him being here and being the A-lister or 1A, 1B with Will Anderson, it's a little bit different. So, yeah, I'm also not super interested in paying a second-round pick.